Hi, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the AI Risk Reward podcast. This is your host, Alec Crawford. Our very special guest today is Michaell Magruch, creativity awareness educator. Welcome, Michaell.
Thanks, Alec. Great to see you again.
Great to see
What are we
you.
talking? What are we talking about?
Well, look, you're an artist. I love hanging out with artists. When did you know? How old were you when you knew you were going to be an artist?
Oh, by 4 or 5.
Oh, that
Because
is so amazing.
I'm extremely neurodivergent, so I couldn't do anything in school, and I couldn't fit in or anything. So I started tinkering around with stuff. Taking motorcycles apart and whatever. Very little. Taking toys apart and put them back together, and that's where I learned. And also I got the feedback what I can do and what I can't do. So that's why so powerful the awareness of creating, because you become so self-aware. It's not like somebody says, "Oh, you did that great." You see that you did something great or not.
Exactly. That's great. Well, I have one family member that is neurodivergent and very, very smart,
Yeah,
but definitely neurodivergent.
yeah.
So, what are some of your favorite artists or works of art you think our audience should see or a place to visit?
Uh, I think because everybody is a one-on-one, right? So you might really be into Bruegel, the painter, and other person might be into Warhol, and another person might be into Van Gogh. Everybody has a different thing. So you gotta expose yourself to a lot to find what your one-on-one-ness really resonates with. So when you go when you go into a museum, allow your six senses to seduce you, and just don't say, "Oh, where's the Van Gogh?" and then you need to look at the Van Gogh. Just go into the room in the museum and allow it to seduce you, and go there first, and then you can look at the Van Gogh and all the other stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you go into a famous museum and there's a famous painting, all people are trying to do is take selfies with it, which I
Yeah.
think is a little bit the wrong approach.
Yep.
Now you mentioned to me a book that had a powerful influence on you. It was The Power of
No.
The Power
Yeah.
of Now.
Eckhart Tolle. Yeah.
So by Eckhart Tolle. So it, tell us about that book and why it had such an influence on
It
you.
has an impact for me because uh, it put life in a perspective. Uh, it segregated mind from being. So for me, I didn't understand what human being is, even though I should know because that's what we all are. But today, especially today, this is like 20 years after I read that book, everybody is into human doing and nobody is into human being, So we don't know what it is to be a human being. We think a human being is to do certain things, get your degree, get your thing, get married, do this. And it's not coming from your uniqueness. And I learned in this that everybody is a one-on-one, 8 billion. And when 8 billion perspectives of your life perspective. So when you and I share, right, like right now, you confirmed, yeah, I agree with that with the museum and blah, 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 blah. That makes my perspective sharper, and it makes your perspective sharper too. So by that, we get a stronger awareness about what's happening. So when you talk to 20 people, you get a stronger awareness of your perspective that you guys talk about.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Well, look, you really emphasize the importance of creativity and awareness in your work. Can you share an example of how increased awareness has transformed a creative project you've been involved in?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that when you, as an artist, when you get a task, let's say you do a graphic design for somebody, or they say, "Hey, I would like to have a statue here in this entrance." You don't know where to go, but you think about it, and I learned it very early. There's no right away solution. So it could be, I mean, there's songs that are done in 15 minutes. I think Yellow Submarine was written in 15 minutes. Gimme Shelter from the Stones was written in, I think, half an hour. So there is something that is coming in at the right time, but you are not in charge of this. You can open yourself to that, to be aware that this can come or cannot, but it doesn't, so you sit with something and you think you can never handle it. And what you learn from being an artist and creating art is that you're not afraid, because the solution will come, especially if you focus on it. And you cannot hurry it up. You cannot, that's why being in the moment, being in the now is so important. I mean, we could talk about anything and it can come or it cannot come. And when you surrender to this, then it will always come, Alec. And this is what I learned from creating art, not from working in a system, doing bookkeeping or something. That's just a copy.
Yeah, Michaell, that's a great answer. Look, as someone who's neurodiverse, like, how has that influenced your engagement with artificial intelligence to the extent that you've been doing that?
So neurodivergents they either, when they are very shamed because they're neurodivergent, they actually use all their life force to be linear, like systems. When you are like me, you're a creative. So this is the other side of neurodivergent. You really understand creativity, how it comes in. So, for example, I have no idea about art, or not much about art history, but I guess I'm one of 6 people or 10 people in the Western world, at least, that knows everything about art creation. That just knows from doing, because I think I painted 3,000 paintings. I did music, theater, documentaries. I was the arts commissioner of Newport Beach, so I had a lot of experience, and I always was good. I was never a bad person. I never something, oh, you failed in that. I never failed in any creative project. I failed a lot in system relevant stuff. In school, I was stuttering. I couldn't read and all that stuff. I failed a lot there. And I didn't learn a lot much. I just learned, oh, I'm a failure because everybody else can do it and I can't.
Yeah. Well, you talk about art's true values outside the economic system, right?
Yeah,
Could you elaborate on how art can function independently of economic motivations and what this means for artists today?
Yeah. What I think artists are not aware of, they have this magical, like you created the podcast, right? It's a magical process. You like it and you change it and you adapt it, and you say, next time I'm asking the person this and I do this, and you tweak it, and that is the magic of creation. And it really, but if your podcast, nobody listens to it, you deny the magic that happened in the creation. And that's the death sin. You actually kill yourself with that. It doesn't really matter what you end up having, because society loves that painting. Society loves that statue. That is not up to you. You just let it through. And if society reflects on that and actually resonates with that, you're lucky. But it's really no artist can say, I can create something and everybody will like it. There's no such thing. Jeff Koons can do that.
Yeah, I know that's totally fair. I think it's the same in music too. And sometimes it's just fads and, eras, to quote Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of art, your book, The Smart of Art, discusses a new art consciousness. Could you explain what this entails and how it can awaken enthusiasm for art?
Yeah, that's what I said with the creation is more important. So I'm bringing all the energy that is done, cured art, and you get supported as an artist, and what all the stuff that we have in the connection in art and all the dance that we want to have as an artist and bring back to what is really, there is no jury of art because everybody's a 101. So you can give your opinion as feedback and says, listen, I think I like it, but I don't like it in red. I would have loved that in blue. It's an opinion. If I ask 200 other people, they might say they want it in black or they like it like it is. I want to make people aware of the sacred act of creating anything in that book. In that book, and that's why I call it The Smart of Art. I said, don't deny yourself to be what, quote unquote, an artist is. There is no such thing as an artist. We are all artists. We all can create. And if you practice more, you are more understandable because your voice is, refined. Like you talk to many people, like you and I said. You see the perspective. You talk to other artists. You do this, and you learn from that awareness. But there's no such thing as a quote unquote archetypal artist. It's not just such thing. I don't know a same artist. I don't know the same human, nor do I know the same artist. Every artist is one, and that's why AI is dangerous because it's just a milkshake in a mixer or in a blender that is from anybody something. There's no creativity in it.
No,
it will never.
No, it's
will never be. It'll never be.
So, in your role as a creativity awareness educator, let's talk a little bit about the educational system, which clearly, is failing a lot of people, including yourself, who are neurodivergent. And part of that is the way we teach really hasn't changed in hundreds, if not thousands. Yeah, if not thousands of years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in terms of your system-centric versus human-centric thought process and approach, like, what are the key steps that society and the educational system need to change to improve that? And can AI be used to help that process?
AI can always be used. AI is like a tool, but it has to be in a relationship like a knife. The knife doesn't tell me what it does. It doesn't learn what to do. A knife is a knife. I use it as whatever I use it to. I can kill somebody with it, but still the knife doesn't kill me. The knife doesn't do it. This is a tool, and I need to be more aware of the tool than the tool about, going just off the rails. And that happened because we focused on the technology so much that technology is actually more advanced now than our growth. We haven't looked at our awareness and our consciousness. Our human consciousness is about, compared to technology, 400 times less because we have just put everything in technology. And that's why we get to this pivotal point where technology can take over. Because we were just not aware. We just think that it will do everything for us, and it doesn't, as you know.
So one of the most important things that I think were what we lost a little bit, especially during the pandemic and people aren't meeting in person, was our ability to harness emotional intelligence. So you have a method called, is it HEIP, for harnessing emotional intelligence. Can you describe the process and how it assists individuals in resolving life issues?
I have to scan right now what you're referring to. You mean how? You have to basically, you have 5 senses. Six, I say 6 because you resonate with something or not. You have 6 senses, and when you engage other humans, you align to the other. Everybody is a 101, and you align to the other person. So, and then you can talk. So even if I stutter or whatever, you can pick it up and kind of sense what you get, from me, and say, do you mean this or do you mean that? And the emotion, is not a right thing. Always, it's just a trigger flag. It just flags you in, and you have to interpret the emotion for you. Because if I get angry, it's different a reason why you get angry. It's not the same reason. That the whole thing is the system relevance is always the generalizing that you and I are white guys and that's what we are. No, we're not. I'm one of one. You are one of one. And I can be super feminine and you can be super masculine and woman can do the same. So it's the understanding of human-centric is every human of 8 billion is one of one. And every opinion or life perspective is important. And I don't know what you need and you don't know what I need. But how often, look, everybody says, oh, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't that. No, you should do whatever you think is right. And that's the human-centric part of it. The system relevant says when in this, you need a mindset, not awareness, mindset. So you need a mindset as a banker, as a coffee maker, as a beer distributor. You need that mindset, which is the systemic patterning of awareness that you need for that job. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. So obviously, we can think about how art reflects human potential, and we were talking about AI and art earlier, and I think there are a lot of creative people who are concerned about AI, whether it's making music or pictures or whatever. And a lot of that may even be on copyrighted material, right? Which is certainly unethical, if not illegal. So I'm curious on your thoughts there.
Look, even let's say the artists decide collectively, all the artists in the world decide collectively, whatever we put out, AI can have it. We just create it, right? The problem is then we don't know the source. It's not about the money. I want to know the source. I say, Alec is really good. He does film noir, and I love Alec's film noir, right? I can't, when it's all in a mixer, AI, I don't know who did it. And it actually segregates us because it generalizes us all. All creative people are generalized. Because the voice of all generalized people is going to be AI. So I can't even say, hey, I really like that feeling that Alec has in that film noir. I would like to talk to him about it. You can't. Because you can't talk to AI about these steps that AI doesn't go to. So that is and we are all also in our expression of our voice, which is I'm also specialized in finding the voice of a human being, of a one-on-one, a creative voice. What happens is you learn about yourself. Life has no meaning. But if you don't have your contribution to humanity, how can you ever find your meaning that you have? Life has no meaning. You're born as a one-on-one, and then you live, and you give life a meaning. You want to be a bad boy, you want to be a good boy, you want to be this. And you can't give it a meaning because when it gets souped down in AI, you don't know if this doctor did it or that doctor. So how you can ever have a gravitas? And in life, as you know, when we are physical, there's people that are better than you and worse than you, especially in systems. But you don't even know what you did.
Yeah, I totally get that.
It's a disconnection. It's a disconnection of yourself with a capital S.
Totally agree. So as a multimedia artist, how do you integrate across different forms of art, and how do you help artists find their singular voice?
I did a question, and we can add that to your to this episode. I did a question catalog for them because I did in 2015 I started an art movement in Laguna Beach as the self-aware artist, and I have there's 60 questions that, and it's a process. You read that PDF and do whatever you want. And also I have a podcast that's 30 seconds long every week. which is all about the art creation, all about creation. Even if you're not an artist, creation is so important that you comprehend it and be aware of it. And then you answer this question for you and you get a feeling more and more about you. So for example, a simple question would be, what colors do you prefer? So I prefer red, blue, whatever. You prefer green, taupe, whatever. And it's just like an awareness. There's no right or wrong. But this, hey, and then you can ask yourself, why am I resonating with black and blue? Why am I resonating with that? And just asking the question without an answer makes you more self-aware, because it will, the universe is listening always what you do, and it just comes in and you say, oh my God, that's why. I know, I mean, I had this student that painted this green, and I tell that story again because it's so good. I looked at his paintings and I saw always his early paintings had a lot of green in, Kelly green, and then less, but Kelly green was in all his paintings. And I asked, why was Kelly green in all your paintings? And he says, I don't know. I said, think about it. And then he said, when he was little, he went to his grandfather, and the biggest excitement was to sit on a John Deere tractor. And the grandfather put him on the wheel, right? And took it along. And he was so impressed by that. So the joy of creating, he integrated that color.
Amazing story. So you influenced the NFT space with human centricity, and
Yeah.
how do you plan to influence the AI space like that?
The AI space, I just say what it is because literally every human can reflect on it. The NFT was which I wasn't aware of. It was basically an advertising for cryptocurrency where they used artists to sell cryptocurrency because artists have no money. They know artists have no money. So if we make them if you make the rumor that you can make thousands of dollars with NFTs, and I was saying, yeah, but you have to have the people that buy it. People buy no art or very little art anyway. But now you have NFT, and that's more art, and it's a copy and more copies. Who's going to buy it? And I was right. There was nobody. I think Damon Hirst was probably selected by the NFT thing to make an NFT project where he actually made money. But I don't know. I know a lot of artists. I don't know anybody who made money with NFT.
Yeah.
And the AI space is just AI is good. But see, this is what I want to do with AI. I think, and I'm telling this to every person about AI. I said, we can't wait till the 8 people that own AI and run AI deciding and say what we give you, the tools we give you. We need to say, and I wrote already 7 or 8, which you can find on LinkedIn, questions about AI, human-centric questions. And I said, we need to ask what we would want from AI, because the creative process is the beauty of creating. So why would we take that away? But doing our, accounting, doing organizing, doing scheduling, yes, let's use AI for that, but not for the creation.
Yeah.
And also it's a shaming. AI says basically humans are not good enough to create, which is total bullshit, because there wouldn't be so many gaming the systems, the outdated systems, if we weren't creative. We are super creative. Everyone. You're not aware of it perhaps, but everybody is super creative.
And it's also about being rather than doing, right?
Exactly.
So what's a great piece of advice you have received that you want to tell our audience?
About what?
About anything. Could be work or life or anything
I think
else.
if I would have known when I was like 16 or so, or even earlier, that we are all one-on-one, that there's no right or wrong, good or bad. It's just like whatever the person chooses to experience, and that we are limitless, especially when we work together, when we collaborate, not compete. If I would have known this, my life would be way easier. Way, 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 way easier. And the differentiation of human-centric and system-relevant. Because the system-relevant is linear, it's binary, it's, either or, right or wrong. And it has a major flaw, the financial principles, which say not right or wrong, good or bad. It says it's never enough no matter what we do. So, Alec, if you and I make $100,000 today, tomorrow we have to make 120. The next day, and we have to scale to get that. If we can't scale anymore, there's only one alternative, not the opposite, but cut costs, which castrates the system that we built. So if we wanted to have a system for horses, and in our country, in our town, we get all the horses to take care of all the horses, and we can't scale anymore, then we have to cut costs. So we got to give less people to take care of the horses, less food, worse food, less blankets, and ultimately taking care of horses is ending. This is what's happening now to humans.
Yeah. And so switching gears here, tell us some of your, besides your own podcast and this one, what are some of your favorite podcasts?
A German podcast called Lanz and Brecht, philosophy and political philosophy. I like another German one, Peter und der Wald, which is Peter and the Wood and the Forest, which is really awareness about forestry and how to do sustainable forestry, and what actually the latest research on what actually plants do and stuff. Then I like, of course, Rick Rubin, what's called Tetragrammaton with Rick Rubin, who, the producer. Very, very good. Very, but it's 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm interested in details. I'm not interested in a short version, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, because I want to learn something and get aware. What is another good? I like Pivot, that thing, because they're both human-centric, but they are very system-relevant. But they are human-centric, they're coming from a human side. And I don't know what else. What's your problem? I like.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I'm not too much into podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I'm writing.
Well, that was a good list.
Yeah.
And shifting back to AI, look, we've talked a lot about some ethical questions about AI. Are there any other ethical questions we should be thinking about as a society with AI that we haven't mentioned already?
Let's drop an awareness bomb. We had the atomic bomb, right? Do you think the atomic energy blew up Hiroshima and Nagasaki? No. Humans did. When you have a knife, who is going to kill somebody? When you have a gun, humans do it. So it's so distracting and confusing to say this technology is going to hurt us or harm us or make us better. No, we make ourselves better using the technology of AI appropriately, the right way, and not copying what we just get given.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I do get concerned that there are people that want to, or countries that want to use AI that just are willing to cross ethical boundaries that
But
that
they
we
do it
would not want
anyway.
crossed. Right, that's what I'm saying.
They do it. Look, I mean, the billionaires and stuff, they want to be relevant, right? They have all the money, but they want to be relevant. So they want to control people to see their relevance. They want to, just, and everybody lies in this thing. But now we have a wave of transparency where people are honest and say what it is. And especially podcasters are literally, it's not a money making machine, but podcast is a way of being human-centric to exchange ideas and perspectives. For example, if you like him or not, Joe Rogan gave 3 hours to a president to talk. Now, where would you have done that before this year? In which election have you seen 3-hour interviews with somebody that they can expose themselves and is known? Most politicians in the past, and I'm a political advisor, they want to just take the question, answer it without any voice or one-on-oneness or anything. They want to just do as general as possible, which do systems too. Outdated systems use that just to keep on going, that everybody has a job. So
Yeah.
we need to say, hey, I'm exposing, be transparent. Why would you not be transparent? So you're going to pay for it anyway. If you go getting in their job and you can't do it, you're dead.
Yeah. All right. Well, our last section is a lightning round,
Okay.
Michael, where I mention things and you tell me if you think they're underrated or overrated and
Okay.
why. So the first one is living in Laguna Beach, California, underrated or overrated?
I would say in general, that's generalizing. I think it's overrated.
Well, the coffee's probably pretty good if you're in this
and the
coffee shop.
at the Black Dot Cafe. Yeah. But that is, that's it's overrated because it's like in Miami, it's overrated. Miami's Miami. There's a lot of stuff there, but the overrated is always more than the underrated.
Yeah.
Because the overrated is hype.
University of California for screenwriting classes.
No,
underrated or overrated?
No, overrated.
Overrated. Being a podcast guest, underrated or overrated?
Being a podcast guest, I think if you have nothing to say, if you have nothing to say, it's underrated. If you have a lot to say, if you have a lot to say, it's underrated. If nothing to say, it's overrated.
Fair enough. The future impact of AI on the art world, underrated or overrated?
Totally overrated. Totally, absolutely out of the thing, overrated.
Being an author, underrated or overrated?
Overrated. Because
Starbucks.
It's overrated. An author, be an author, be an author. There's so many millions. I have written 8 books and published 5. And I'm writing on 2 other books. I do it to get clear so I can express my awareness and wisdom. I don't do it to make money. If it makes money, that's, I'm teaching what I preach. I said, if it makes money, that's nice. Of course I want it to make money, but I'm not saying I'm doing it to make money.
Starbucks coffee, underrated or overrated?
I think it's actually fair because there's a lot of people that say it's over roasted. And there's a lot of people that say it's the greatest from the experience, they like the branding. So I think it's actually very generally balanced out.
Being a career coach, underrated or overrated?
I was a coach and I cut the coach thing. Why? Because coach is somebody that tells you there's 3 steps and you have to follow them. I'm an advisor. I like the advisor role better because I was advisor for a Democrat and a Republican, political advisor, 1-1. And I think you can't tell people what to do. It's never working. Tell me when it works when you tell people what to do. When they have to adapt, when they're not that person, and you want them to act like that person.
Creativity.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Creativity and education, underrated or overrated?
Underrated. Because education is still 1845. It's made for boys. It's made for, for the army. It's basically a sorting out of the army. That's it. It's not good.
Yeah. Social media's impact on art, underrated or overrated?
Social media on the impact of art, I think it's good, but I don't think it's not understood. I think it's good to expose as much art as we can. The more art you're exposed to, the more human-centric you become.
And then finally, Picasso as an artist, underrated or overrated?
Underrated. And the reason why is because he's very honest. 35,000 paintings. I did 4,000 paintings. He did 35,000. The
Pretty
guy was,
amazing.
I mean, the guy knew about himself, and
Yep.
he didn't give a shit if you like it, this period. If you don't like the blue period, who cares?
He didn't care.
It had to come out. It had to do the blue.
Yeah.
It had the cubist thing. It had to just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, speaking of honesty, obviously Guernica is a very, very honest painting, right, from
Yeah,
Picasso.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, amazing painting.
Yeah.
Anyway, Michael, thank you for coming on the show. This has been Michaell Magruch, creativity awareness educator. It's been an amazing time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much too. Anytime. If you want me again, you can have me.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michael.